Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 480 of the Cinema Speak podcast. And my name is Brad.
And my name's Santino. And has the YouTube era finally begun upon us?
Go back to the kiddie pool.
We are talking Backrooms, not The Backrooms, which I personally think would have been a better title, just Backrooms, which is directed by Kane Parsons. It stars Chiwetel Ejiofor, Renate Rinsve, and Mark Duplass. And the plot synopsis is, after a therapist's patient disappears into a dimension beyond reality, she must venture into the unknown to save him. What did you think of Backrooms?
I enjoy it. I'm not sure. Have you watched any of Kane Pixel's YouTube stuff? That's his director's YouTube channel, Kane Pixels, which I will be referring to him as Kane Pixels because that is what I know him as.
I have not. No.
Okay. I started watching this stuff kind of early on. I found them through the film theory channels. They did a theory video about it, like kind of early on, and that's where I first found out about the Backrooms and all this stuff. And it's kind of nice to see that they kind of translated like that story or what they were kind of going for, or what he was going for in that, and like to put it on the big screen. Like there are some differences, but there are some like things he added to it, which I'm kind of curious if the stuff that he's done on YouTube and the movie, if he's trying to share the lore between them to see like to help people understand, because even in the YouTube we never really understood what the Backrooms was. Like it was always kind of like a vagueness to like what it is, but based on like context it does feel like there is a little bit more that like people could grasp on. I'm like, okay, maybe this is what the Backrooms are. Maybe this is help filling in some spots that like theorists have been trying to figure out what's been going on. So I think it's pretty interesting. It is funny because when I went to buy these tickets on AMC, they put it under the artsy like label, which watching it, I'm like, I'm like, oh, that's weird. But then watching it, I'm like, okay, I could see this being kind of more of a artsy kind of movie. You know, it's not your traditional like horror movie.
It's elevated horror, I would say. It's trying to be in that zone.
Like it's not like your like typical like boo scary like what's the one about the wife and husband? The Conjuring. It's not like The Conjuring where it's like all like scary, spooky. It's like boo monster or ghost pops out. It's more like, okay, like you're watching uncomfortable scenes and you just don't feel like you don't really feel like comfortable like watching it. You kind of have like that, like if you have like a phobia, it's like certain this attaches itself to certain phobias, and like if you have those phobias, like you'll be like, yeah, this is like really like uncomfortable. They're going for a different type of horror than what like most people want, and luckily it seemed like it's clicking with people. So I think that's a good thing, at least.
And it clicked with you?
Yeah, I think it clicked with me. I think I understand, like, because again, watching the YouTube show and watching this, I felt like he translated it pretty well from YouTube to the big screen. I felt like this is what would elevate, like this would be how, like, maybe if he did make this, like, again, well, he technically kind of did have his way with this, like, but I felt like it was very like, it wasn't like a bastardized like version of it, you know. He didn't try to go like scary monsters or like you know, he had a theme with the YouTube, and he kind of translated it pretty well with the movie. I think the movie did a little bit more themes with it, but I think that's him trying to not broader audience, but trying to make it more like viewer friendly.
Is it just inspired by his original series, or does it follow the same sort of story?
It's heavily inspired because some people have theorized that this is a continuation of the YouTube series, because the YouTube series, there's really no main characters. It's kind of like different stories. Like in the first episode, it's some guy who has a camcorder, and like him and his friends, they're filming a movie in like some like yard, and he just falls through the floor and he wakes up and he's in the back rooms. And a lot of it is found footage. It's all found footage style, but it's all like animation, like not animation, like I think it's called the thing's called Blender. I think that's the engine he runs. So it's all using that, and but it's all like found footage. So like it all looks kind of like well, like in the movie, how it's like found footage, how it looks kind of old. It's kind of like creaky, and nothing's really. There's a little blurriness to it, but it kind of feels like old '90s camcorders.
Mm-hmm.
So like it's all that is either footage from like from the from like someone holding the camera who somehow fell into the back rooms, or as we see that there's other people involved that we see them like their body cam footage. But yeah, I think it was done very well. I like it. There's definitely a little bit more to the movie he's putting on, and like I said, I'm not sure if it's ever been confirmed that this is like a direct tie-in to the show. But watching the show and watching this, I guess I see a lot of the connections. Which again, like I don't know if that's just because of that's the world, that's the version he made, so that's what he's kind of used to, Because there are a ton of different like back room like movies or not movies, shows, games.
Yeah, because he didn't come up with the idea originally, right? It was just a thing on 4chan that got posted, like an image, I think, right?
Yeah, it was a creepy pasta where it was just like um someone took a photo of it and like had like a weird description, which funny thing enough, they actually did find out where that photo came from, and it was from some furniture store in like early 2000s, late 90s, that was like they were doing some construction, and they were just posting pictures of like, "Oh, today we're starting the construction. Oh, here's the progress of today." So like, and it was just like the empty room with the wallpaper and everything because like they were moving things out.
Mm-hmm.
And again, there was nothing to fear. It was just like, "Oh, here's an update," and then someone found it online and just like put like a creepy like little like short story or whatever with it, and it kind of just grew from there.
No, it's definitely interesting how it's, blossomed from just this internet thing onto the big screen. Definitely kind of reminds me a little bit of Channel Zero, the show that was like each season was an adaptation of a creepypasta. Yeah, I really didn't know much, but I kind of knew a little bit about the Backrooms going in, just the basic idea of it or premise, but I hadn't really watched any of Kane Pixel's previous shorts. I will say that I am still kind of digesting my thoughts on Backrooms. I guess I have to say that there are things I liked about it, but overall, not my favorite. The strongest stuff is just the visuals of the back rooms, and I did really like there's quite a few sequences of just people exploring and going through room to room to room, and I think those are the strongest sequences in the movie. Like probably the two strongest sequences in the movie is when Chiwetel Ejiofor first goes in the back rooms and is exploring. I really like that sequence, and then the scene with like the camera crew. I guess those are probably the two standout sequences in the movie. Other than that, I don't know if the rest of the movie totally worked for me, and where it goes, I don't know. I was not crazy about the last act of the movie. There's a reveal of kind of a creature that I was not a fan of the look of. Yeah, I don't know, just it kind of ended on a bit of a sour note for me. But I think, worth saying that, yeah, it is for a, first feature for a 20-year-old, his first movie. It is very impressive in that regard. I do think, knowing that it's a 20-year-old and it's his first feature film, you may be a little more cognizant of things like this, but there are a couple moments where it's like, that feels like I can see what he was trying to do there, but it wasn't executed particularly well. Like one example I can think of that, kind of feels like a master, like Zach Kreger would have handled better. Chiwetel Ejiofor is watching TV and he's in bed, and then there's the cut to the wide shot, and it reveals that he's in the furniture store. The shot before the wide shot kind of revealed that he was like, you could kind of tell that there was another bed behind him, so it kind of already revealed that he was in the furniture store, so the joke didn't land as hard. But it is still undeniably impressive what he was able to do at such a young age. I don't want to diminish the kid. I mean, when I was 20. I wasn't doing shit.
And I think I heard that they hired another writer who's, I forgot what he does some other stuff. So Kane didn't write this all on his own. He had someone else help him. I'm curious to see how much that other guy helped him with, or like, if it was just kind of like guiding him, like even with you can see with the guy from that did Obsession. He did a couple movies on YouTube, like very small, but like he had the experience, of writing movies, like even though they were only like an hour long, but like he still had the experience of like writing something a little bit longer, or like that's meant to watch at one time. Like,
I want to just say,
Uh-oh.
it needs to be said.
Uh-oh.
While this is up and this is in the zeitgeist, peace and love to both.
Peace and love. Peace and love.
Both very impressive, very happy for both, but sorry, Obsession wipes the floor with Backrooms, in my opinion. Not that you need to compare them, but
now I would say I mentioned I did enjoy Obsession a lot more, but I understand Backrooms from knowing what Kane Pixel's done before, to see him like, I never seen nothing from the Obsession guy, like, but I've actually I did watch some of his YouTube stuff, and he did a lot of comedy stuff, which some of it was pretty funny. Like, I'll say I watched and like a lot of them were like 2-3 minute little like gags and stuff. But then he also did some like horror movies, which people are saying that like if you like Obsession, watch some of his horror movie stuff that were like, I think about an hour long or so.
I mean, obviously Backrooms is very impressive, but what's more impressive, I think, about Obsession is that with Backrooms, it was produced by James Wan is a producer on this, and he'll probably produce the second one. He won't produce the third, but he produced this one. So he was a producer on this. I think Osgood Perkins was a producer on this, Sean Levy. So there was some like, big names sort of backing this from the get-go, and it did have, I think the budget is like 10 million. So it was kind of like a Hollywood picture from the ground up. From my understanding, Obsession was a very independent film that Curry Barker did that then got picked up by Blumhouse after it premiered at TIFF. So he kind of did Obsession completely on his own, and then it just got picked up by a Hollywood studio, where this one is sort of made by a Hollywood studio.
I'm curious to see where both those people's careers go. Like, I know Obsession, like they're already like giving him like 6 figures for his next movie and stuff. And he's talked about like he's already, I think he is going to direct the new Texas Chainsaw Massacre remake. I think both of them are good. I think Obsession is a little bit more simpler. Your average Joe could watch it and be like, oh yeah, I understand what's going on. Like, I understand like, the rules of this the world and everything. Backrooms is definitely like a lot more. You have to think about what's going on. You have to be more kind of observant. You have to like wonder, okay, what does this mean? Because like I saw this with my dad. We saw both these movies, and like, and I was talking to my brother about it, and like telling about it. And he's like, well, what would you recommend? And my dad's like, well, Obsession is basically more like kind of straightforward. Like you understand what's going on. Like you kind of like, there's nothing really like too complicated to think about, like they kind of present everything pretty well. But the Backrooms is kind of more, what's going on? Wait, why is this happening? And then like the last like 10-15 minutes of Backrooms, they kind of like info dump you kind of, but not really. But it's still kind of like open. You're like, wait, so what's really going on? But then like, I think this also kind of falls into the whole like YouTube series where Kane Pixels has a lot of his popularity grow because people are theorizing like, well, what does this mean? What is this? Or like he'll put a scene that has this in it, or like something weird in it, and people are like, oh, well, that means that the Backrooms does this, which means that now like people could do this and this, and like it kind of like you kind of draw the line out. I'm sure like probably within the next couple of weeks or so, people are gonna analyze videos of like, oh, well, you see like this scene meant this, or like this references this. Like I wonder, and especially with the show with YouTube shows, people are gonna say, oh, okay, well, what they do in the movie makes sense now for the show, so that means that the backroom works like this, or these people are doing this because of this. But for a movie, it's kind of hard. Like you kind of want to give your fans or like the viewers something to go on. You want to give them some answers, but yet you don't want to like just info dump. It's like, this is what's going on. Like, and that's it. Like, no mystery, but it's like people like the mystery, but also like you don't want to like give too much, which I think they gave just enough, but I would have still liked more.
I
Like,
kind of feel like they sort of tried to play the middle zone of giving you a little bit, but also not enough to fully explain anything. So then I kind of just felt confused to the point where I'm like, did I miss something? But I don't think I did. I think it's just like they are trying to keep everything vague as possible, but just giving you just enough to say like, well, it's a movie, so we got to explain it kind of, you know what I mean?
because like I was able to connect some of the dots at the end when they were talking at the end, which was okay. I know from the short that this happened and this happened and this happened, and I'm sure that's what these guys are referencing. But I think also, again, like I said, I'm not sure if they're both are canon with each other or not. But like I said, from my knowledge of the shorts, this is what the world is. This is what they're kind of building the world to be. And I guess like this guy's kind of like a yeah, this is kind of what's happening. Because I think I think if they just went out and said, this is what's going on, this is what this is, this like I think it would just be like, oh, okay, now like the mystery of everything is kind of not there, which I think that's what the whole Backrooms is, though, is like the mystery of what is this? Like, why is this happening?
I was expecting them, and I can't think of any movie that does this off the top of my head, but I know there are other movies that have done this. The idea of you don't explain anything ever, like you don't ever really explain what's going on, but you have the characters sort of like try and theorize what's happening.
Mhm.
So you have like one character say, I heard a story that they were doing experiments about this. And then you have another character later in the movie say, this is just like an article I read where this wormhole opened up and blah. And so like you have just people kind of guessing and like they don't ever really say if any of those are even what is happening, but it's kind of like it gives you something to latch onto to say, well, maybe that's what is happening here, even
Mhm.
though we don't know. I thought that's where they were going to go, and they don't really. I mean, they kind of one thing that not that there's many opportunities for this, but um, just it seems like none of the characters ever really stop and behave in a way that feels like how a normal human would behave.
Mm. Yeah.
They never like they have the moment where they're like, "Whoa, what's going on?" But there's never anything where somebody is like, "Okay, this is insane. What is like we need to like stop for a second." Like
Mhm.
and it kind of like not that I wanted the movie to slow down ever, but I was kind of waiting for somebody to like specifically ask like, Chiwetel Ejiofor's character like, "Are you seeing like how are you like wrapping your mind around this? Like this can't be happening right now."
Mhm. Yeah, and the fact that like they could come back and forth freely, like it kind of does like kind of weird. But like I said, in the shorts, a lot of times it's either people who fall into it and have no idea where they're at or how to get out or anything. And that's kind of like the scary. Like again, these people are freaking out, but they're like, well, I'm in this situation. Just keep walking and hopefully I find an exit or something, So like you're with them on their journey, just hoping to find something. And they're like, yeah, because it does add like kind of a weirdness that they're going back, that these people are going back and forth, like they know how to get in and out. So like they kind of have that safety guard that if they really want to, they could just walk back out.
Let me throw this at you, Santino, because I've kind of been mulling this over in my mind today. I think this movie could have been better if it was edited a little differently or just structured a little differently. Hear me out. What did we
Mhm.
say about this? What did we say that the movie doesn't follow Chiwetel Ejiofor going into the back rooms? We don't see him going in the first time. We are specifically following the therapist character. So
Mm.
we're with her. This patient comes and is talking about this weird thing, the back rooms. Eventually, she goes looking for him. And the first time we go into the back rooms is with her through the back
Mm.
rooms. And then we can have that scene with Chiwetel where he was exploring. We can have that with her because we do kind of get that. They do repeat that a little bit where he goes in and explores and she goes in and explores. She can find the camera of the camera crew and watch the tape. And I wonder if it would have been a little bit better if it was like specifically from her perspective and exploring the back rooms in that way. I kind of feel like I would have liked that a little better because it is kind of weird how it sort of starts with Chiwetel Ejiofor as the lead, but then by the end of the film, we're solely following the therapist as our main character. Kind of, there's a little bit of a doesn't totally gel.
Yeah, I know. I think that probably would have been a little bit more like because I think, and that also fit with the show too, where it's kind of like you're like I said, you it's people that are watching these tapes, so it could kind of be like the show, like, oh, I'm seeing what this person is experiencing, I'm seeing what they're going through, and it's also like, well, you can't do nothing to help this person, like whatever happens to them, like, but it's also like it kind of gives her more of a context of like, oh, people are coming in and out, or people are coming through this and are either disappearing or dying, like we're not really sure what's going on, or like there's some kind of threat here which we don't even know. Like, I think that would be better. Yeah, being like you kind of, but also I'm kind of wondering because I know this is your favorite genre of horror movies, trauma horror.
Yeah.
Which, like, I think that this, especially with how the guy reacts and everything, I think there is a lot of like, I've seen some theories on like maybe how the Backrooms reacts now because we know so much about this guy's background, about with him like being an alcoholic, potentially maybe abusive, like verbally, but not sure, maybe hints of maybe physically abusive to his ex-wife. He's in like financial debt with a business. Like you said, we get a lot of like this guy's life is kind of falling apart. And like I said earlier, like he's living in the furniture store that he owns. It seems like there's a lot of like stuff that he's not willing to either let go or whatever. And how the Backrooms reacts with him and stuff like that. Like there's certain scenes that like show more and more that like, oh yeah, this dude's kind of little unhinged right now. Like he is not in good space. Like he is in therapy, which is good. Kids, therapy is very good. Unless they're enablers, then don't. But therapy could be good. Again, but we don't know why he's in therapy. Like,
based on his character, I have a hard time imagining that a character like him would be willing to go to therapy now in today's world. I really have a hard time swallowing that a character like his would go to therapy back in 1990 or whatever year it was.
maybe there's some hints that maybe he was, I don't say court ordered to, or he thought maybe that if he talked to a therapist that they will agree with him, or so, maybe there's like there could be other like motivations to go to therapy for him or something, but
Maybe.
or maybe it's just he just wants someone to talk to and rant about it. He's like, yeah, nobody's gonna listen to me. Like, I'm gonna pay someone to listen to me rant. But also though, he is in severe debt, so I feel like he wouldn't do therapy unless some reason.
The
But
holes are starting to get a little wider in terms of like what people think like the Backrooms represent, or thematic. I don't know if there's anything online about that, but I guess for me watching the movie, I kind of there's definitely the trauma thing like you said, but I was getting the idea that the movie's all kind of about memory and how your memory can shape who you are and your perception of events that are sort of key moments in your life, and how they can get distorted as time goes on, and how that can sort of either add to trauma or kind of like cover up pain or trauma. Kind of weird how one of the early scenes we see the therapist character outside her childhood home, and she sees like her handprints in the cement like of the driveway, and we see a quick clip of her putting her hand in the cement and her mom there, and it's kind of a very loving scene. And in that moment, her memory seems to be of a loving family, but as we continue to learn more and more about her past, it seems like that memory was something that was more clouded and not real. And I kind of think with the reveals of some of the creatures in the back rooms and the way that they are um distorted and the back rooms themselves are distorted. That's kind of what I took out of it. I don't again, I'm just kind of I haven't done any research. I'm just shooting from the hip on what I took out of it on a first time watch.
Well,
But
yeah, that actually does makes some sense, and like I guess the running theory in the show was that the back room was some kind of maybe computer or AI program or something that was trying to like make a new reality, but it couldn't understand the reality of the real world. So that's why like you see like the stop sign. Oh, it looks like, but it's backward. You know, like
Mhm.
like it's spelled backwards, or like, but you know what it is. Like looking at it, okay, I know what this is, or like things are just slightly bigger, larger than they should be, or like odd shapes or sizes. So like they're kind of like I said, maybe it was more of like a well now we know with like AI chatbots and stuff like that, where like you can ask it a question, but it gives you a weird answer. Like you know what it's going for, but it's not clear enough. Maybe this is King Pixel like being more clear that this is more humans are affecting this more than what we thought. Like humans
Mhm.
are unintentionally interacting with this, and it's making it behave certain ways because it's trying to either copy real society, copy humans, but like it just for some reason it just can't get it right. Like maybe it could be like more emotional, like it's feeding off the emotions of some of these people. Like one of the things that, like I said, it could be like I said, it could be the main character, his emotions of like he's right that I was in the right in this situation. Like, yeah, I was a drunk, but you know, my wife was taking advantage of me because she was going to school that I was like, you know, he has a lot of resentment, and that like that anger is what's feeding the back rooms and like it disrupting his like idea of what really happened. You know, like I said, it could be the memory, like his memories getting more and more of like, oh yeah, I was right to get
Yeah.
mad, or I was right
Yeah.
to do this, like F, you know, like
It's like
and
the back rooms are his version of the memory where he remembers that he was in the right, but that's not quite how it actually was in reality. In reality, it was much more of a gray area.
and then even like with the back rooms, like it, like I said, it could have hinted at like because we always saw that okay, maybe he's verbally abusive, maybe, but like with some of the things that happened, like okay, maybe there might have been some physical like stuff that he's not willing to admit, but it's reading into him like okay, like this is what happened, but like but this is right though, you know, this is how this is how he's portraying it. So like he must have been in the right doing this stuff because in his mind he was justified for whatever happened between him and his ex-wife.
There's obviously some interesting ideas here, and I really liked exploring the back rooms, and I liked the production design and like always walking into a room and seeing like what they were going to do that was weird and off about the room. Like even some stuff towards the end, like I liked there's a scene where she like comes out a door and like she's like hundreds of feet. There's like a
Mhm.
100 feet hole, and there's like these just like stairs crawling up to this little door in the ceiling, and like just little things like that. Or the one room where there was all the couches like shoved into the one room, like really cool visual ideas there, and I was always into that. I just kind of I honestly think that if it had maybe been a little more straightforward in terms of like the creature stuff and the horror stuff within the back rooms, I think I might have liked it a little more. Like if it was, you know, maybe a handful of people get stuck in the back rooms, something is hunting them down, and they keep going into weirder and weirder rooms. And maybe some rooms are like almost like a not necessarily, not necessarily Saw, but maybe Saw adjacent, something Saw adjacent where it's like they get in a room and they have to figure out a way out and they can't, and there's like some sort of puzzle that they have to sort of like figure out while the creature is like zeroing in on them and is almost in the room. And I don't know, I feel like there's a really really good movie potentially within this world. I just don't think this one really worked for me, and a lot of it is I think the pacing for me was kinda off. I don't know, I thought took a while to get to the back rooms. Just there was too many sequences where we sort of, like, just stopped and had these kinda long conversations that I didn't think were all that interesting.
Yeah, the back rooms is definitely like the most interesting part because but once you go to the real world and going back and forth, like I think there could have been potential. Like I know how you said like it's people stuck in the room. Like I thought, or you can even do something like they did with the show where it's like some average Joe just doing his day, falls to the ground, wakes up in the back rooms. He finds a camcorder and and maybe he's finding tapes of like past survivors or something, or like and like because I think a lot of the show is like just exploring of like what is this, like what is this air, what is this room, what is it like, because you don't really know much about the because it's all like from the camera's point of view, so you don't really know who the person is behind the camera. Like most of the time, it's just some average Joe like that just happened to fall into it, and they're just using the recording things because they're like, or they're using it for like light, like if it's dark, they use like the night vision camera or whatever mode or whatever. And like I think you could do something like that where like drop someone in there, have it be they're finding tapes, or maybe they even find like a body, like they find one of the hazmat bodies and they find like one of their body cams or something, and like they're like, okay, this is kind of, so he kind of gets a more of like that something's here, or there's something that's hunting people, or like because like a lot of times in the back it's just them, like I said, exploring, seeing with the end, like every once in a while you'll see like a monster or something that usually like ends up like chasing them or like forcing them to go to path that they didn't want to go to at first. But I think this movie kind of wanted to go a little bit more, like I said, the trauma horror about it. And again, maybe this is him trying to give more explanation on what the back room really is. Based off this movie, it's emotional, it's your memories, it's like, maybe it's feeding off the raw emotion of people, or like
Yeah, that's another thing I wanted to ask you. So the creature that we see at the end, are we to assume that that was the creature that was kind of like in every instance of this movie, do you think? Or do you think is there, obviously, I guess we do see other smaller creatures when Chiwetel Ejiofor first goes in there and he gets chased out of it by a creature. Like, do you think that was the same creature that we see at the end?
I kind of want to say, I kind of want a little bit say no, but I think it probably is the same creature because like in the show, it's the design is way different. In the show, it's like it looks like it's like made out of like cables, wires, and the head is
Yeah,
like
I
a
think I've seen
camera.
that. Yeah.
So like again, maybe it's just because it's just like maybe it's a little bit simpler, but like kind of a creepy design almost. But like again, maybe that's based because again, maybe since all these people are coming in with cameras, maybe that's kind of feeding all of them.
Yeah, I mean, did you like the look of the creature in this? Because I don't know, it kind of
I
is a little goofy to me.
I mean, okay, like I kind of get it, like like for the movie, but I don't know. I kind of was wishing for a little bit more accurate to the, or more dedicated to the. Exactly.
I did really like the music. I thought the music was
Mhm.
really good. In terms of the performances, thought Chiwetel Ejiofor was good.
Mhm.
Uh, Renate Rinsve, the therapist, wasn't as crazy about her, and she's I think Norwegian actress, and I I would say, oh, she's just is she's maybe emigrated to America and she just has that accent, but we specifically see that she was from living in America at a very young age. So I think she was trying to do an English accent and it just was not working. I don't know.
Felt like her character was kind of just numb. Like
Yeah.
she wasn't like never like it felt like her character was never really there presently. Like which it might come off as maybe still like a little like stillness, but like I think maybe they're trying to go for something with her, like that she's not like, even though she is a therapist and like she's writing these self-help books, she doesn't have it all together herself.
Yeah.
So like she puts on kind of like that, oh yeah, I'm the therapist, or like, like I'm here to help you, but I don't have my shit together though.
There's a few moments towards the end too where she has these like sort of big reactions to things that are going on, and I don't know. She's a good actress in certain roles, I think,
Mhm,
but I think this might have been not her specialty. I think she's a little more low key normally.
mhm.
Peace and love. It's still she's a wonderful woman, I'm sure, but not working for me in the movie.
Yeah, because I heard that she was in something last year that was it wasn't popular, but like I said, she was good in it. I can't
Yeah,
remember
she
what
was
it
in
was.
Sentimental Value. She got
Hmm.
Oscar nominated for it.
So she has the chops. It's just maybe this wasn't the right thing for her.
What are you gonna give Backrooms out of 5 stars?
I've been kind of going back and forth. I've been thinking between either like a 4 or 3.5. Like I said, I like the connections to like the show. I think for a first time director, like I feel like it was good, like and it was interesting. A lot of like also I did like the fact that when you're in the back group, you heard the sounds of the phonetic of the lights. Like
Mhm.
it was a very strong humming sound throughout there, which I was that was a nice little touch because it just added a little bit of weirdness to like uncomfortableness to it. So, but like there was something I was kind of like disappointed with. I think I'll give it a very high. I don't know if I want to give it a very high or a very low rate. Like, you know what? For a first timer, I'm gonna be nice. I'll give him a low 4.
Okay. Low 4.
Like if I watch it again and if I'm not in a good mood, it might drop to 3.5. But it'll be a very high 3.5 though.
Okay. Well,
Like
since you went up, I'll feel comfortable going down then. Um, I'll say I'll give it a you give it a very low. I'll give it a very high, 2.5.
okay,
Yeah.
I could see that.
I actually don't know if it'd be a very high 2.5. It was fine. It just didn't it really didn't work for me as a whole. So I can't really go too high on it, but there were things I really liked.
I'd be curious if you watch the show and then go back to it. If maybe you might feel okay, a little more connection to it. Like you might feel like okay, I kind of have a better idea. But like again,
Yeah.
if it's gonna be one of those things where you have to do homework for it, like you watch the show and then maybe watch theories and all this stuff. Like to again, I have the history with that already, so like I kind of have it, that little extra knowledge in me. So for you, understandable, but
Mhm.
for me, like for what everything I've seen and experienced, it makes sense, like to be a little bit gentle with it because I'm like, okay, I kind of get this.
Yeah.
You're out of your depth.